Recently, I looked up the term vagrant and vagrancy because I've heard the term bantered about known as vagrancy laws. In other words, there's actually laws, and some of these go way back in time, that that actually make it a criminal offense to be poor, because that's what a lot of vagrants are. In essence, you've got the lawmakers, not only here in America, but all over the world, at different times in history, imposing these laws, making it illegal to be poor. And it's ironic because poor people are not criminals, or else they'd be in jail. Where I live in California, the taxpayers spend over $50,000 annually per inmate to keep them in prison. Now, that money is spent on giving these criminals free rent, free utilities, free food, free health care, free education, and they don't have to work. How are you going to make somebody work? You know, we're not going to allow them to beat these people. So the way they get people to work is because they want to work. You know, I mean, who the hell wants to sit around all day and do nothing? You know, it's instinct to want to serve. But the point I'm trying to make is that the insanity of these laws defies imagination. Now, if people were unwilling to work, and that's why they were poor, you know, I would be much more tolerant of poverty in general. But I see right through the scam. I see this as persecution, first-rate persecution. Why? You would tell somebody that because they don't fit into the system, because they haven't conformed sufficiently to be among the fit to survive. And what does that mean in our system? It means having the wherewithal to attain the magical little pieces of paper that we're told are of value. And without those magical little pieces of paper, you have no power. You have nothing. You're worthy of nothing. You're immoral. You're degenerate. You're the one that's a criminal because you're poor. And this really, really ticks me off. And I hope it ticks off everybody that says they have a conscience, because it's just absolutely intolerable as far as I'm concerned. If there was a shortage of essential human needs, you could almost understand it. If we had just experienced a famine or a terrible natural disaster, and we all had to face this reality and help each other, it'd be one thing. But this is a chronic, ongoing situation, and it's inflicted on us. It's done on purpose to keep us in fear, to keep us insecure. Let's face it, if you have to worry about making these magical pieces of paper to pay the roof over your head, not only just your landlord or your banking mortgage or the tax man, it didn't matter. It was burden. It's burden to make these pieces of paper. Okay, and it's imposed burden. This is fear. This is what I mean about insecurity. It doesn't matter where the source is coming from. Whether you're paying a mortgage note You're paying your landlord, you're paying your IRS agent for your property taxes in perpetuity. The sense of fear is real, that you know if you can't come up with those magical pieces of paper, you will literally lose the roof over your head. If you don't come up with those magical pieces of paper, you will lose the food off your table. So basically, if you don't conform adequately to this system, you're considered a criminal in the eyes of the law. And I find it reprehensible and intolerable. And I would debate anybody on this issue. Okay? It makes absolutely no sense to go along with this program. We've got to see right through this. We've got to confront everybody. Okay? And it's not just the top elitists that need to be concerned, but it's all what I call the mini elitists out there that are involved in this. Okay? Because if you're going along to get along, you're a collaborator. You're part of the problem. You're part of the problem in what I call the most pernicious economic system in history. Yes, worse than slavery. Read what Adam Smith said about slavery. Okay? A master had to take good care of their slave in order to have them produce. Okay? And it was a given that room and board were included in that, and of course clean water. Okay? That's it. You had to keep a healthy slave at least. Nowadays, people's rent or mortgage is often higher than their earnings for the week. Okay, and they have to take care of all of this on their own. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's worse than that. But we have the most divisive economic system in history. One man's advantage, for example, the landowner, the landlord, his advantage is that he can extract higher rents. The higher, the better in his mind. That's profit. That's money in his pocket. On his side of the equation, his side of the ledger, that money goes. That power, that wealth, whatever it is that you see money as. But on the flip side, conversely, the renter, the tenant, he loses under this situation. Okay? Because it's a negative to him. It's more burden on his back. Less power for him. He's worth less because he's got to give more to the landlord. So their interests are diametrically opposed by nature. And here in California, it's so acute, that division, that until recently, the majority of California residents were homeowners. Today, since about 2006, a little earlier, the majority of California residents are renters. In San Francisco, it's so acute that 85% plus of the residents are renters. Okay? But yet somehow that 15% of homeowners that own many and multiple dwellings are able to extract exorbitant rates of rent. And if there wasn't some form of rent control, they would be able to extract even more. But rent control is a total joke. It's completely been eroded and eviscerated for the most part in the last several years. What we've got is policies being developed by the tippy-top bankers. The Federal Reserve Bank, they make the policies. Those policies are rubber stamped by our bought-off politicians. And they are unfortunately enforced with violence, if necessary, by the local police. And I would recommend any law enforcement out there, stop going along with the program. You tell the landlords, you tell the bankers, you tell the IRS, you kick them out of their house. But sheriffs, police, marshals, none of you guys ought to stoop to that level. I believe that you have a lot more integrity. It's just like our troops. They're not to blame for these wars. They're just taking orders from who they trust in, you know? Sure, I know about the Nuremberg trial, but that's a whole nother thing compared to what the American troops are involved in. Okay, but they do need to question authority. Everybody does. The IRS agents, the gun-toting IRS agent that would take your house for non-payment of property taxes, the gun-toting sheriff or other law enforcement agency that would take your house for non-payment of rent or non-payment of your mortgage. You really need to question authority, because what's happened is homeowners have lost their life savings. They've been completely economically raped. This was stolen. Carte blanche. This is stolen from them. No doubt about it. Okay, because of the policies that were rubber stamped by the bought-off politicians and enforced by the police. So stop enforcing illegal laws. Stop being un-American. Start giving a damn. We've got big problems in this country, and the biggest one is allowing unsound currency. Because until we've got sound currency, we're just going to keep on sliding into disparity, where the division is going to get more and more pronounced until we've got such misery. We're going to envy the residents of third world countries. But I think what's going to break out first is a bloody revolution, because I know far too many decent people that are going to get in the face of those who are imposing this on us more and more and more. They're going to say no. They're going to step up to the plate and be good servants of humanity, good servants of God, and they are going to confront all those who are on the side of wickedness, of supporting this current establishment. All those who want to go along to get along, who don't want to rock the boat, who want to protect this establishment because it's worked very well for them. Okay, we have to say no. If the system isn't working for everyone, it's not working. You will never be happy while neglecting to care for other people. You cannot say, hey, it's okay for me. I can't worry about people dying out in the street. You can worry, and you'd better worry. Okay, because you'll never find true happiness. And when it all comes down, if it's not about finding true happiness in this life, to really being somebody we like and love and respect, somebody we can stand before, if there is a God, somebody we can stand before in any kind of clear conscience and justify our belief system, how we have believed, and convince this almighty God that we're correct in our beliefs, that we can stand by them. Okay, then maybe you're going to be okay. But if you can't stand up and say, I have done my very best and honest to try to leave this world a little better for my brief visit than when I came. And if you can't do that, you're nobody. You're nobody. Where are you going to go? How are you going to inherit a better world if you can't first imagine that world? And does that world include excluding others that aren't as strong as you, as smart as you, as competent as you? Or maybe they just don't fit into this evil system as well as you. Are you going to stand there before your Creator and justify your beliefs in divorcing yourself from your fellow man and saying it's okay, for whatever reason, this man is dying out on the street. He's a drunk. He's on drugs. He's a lowlife. I tell you, again, the criminals are in prison.